Welcome to the Viking Age podcast, the official podcast of thevikingage.com. My name is Chris Schad. I am a writer for the Viking Age, Zone Coverage, Bring Me the News, and the Brookings Register. And we do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. But however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. 1,130 members going strong coming in today's episode. I've been saying 1,200 before week one, but maybe let's try and get to 1,150. Let's get to 1,150.
Now go for 12.
Yeah, I mean, go for 12. We got to get to 1,150 before we can get to 12, but let's get to 1,200. The voice of the man you hear next to me, his name, I really apologize if I botch your nickname, by the way, because I forgot to ask in the pre-show conversation. We were busy talking about Vikings camp and Roman Reigns and like all this stuff. But today's guest, a rarity on this show because he actually writes for the Viking Age. He is also one half of the Onebar and Lupagus.
Lupagus. You were so close.
Yes. It was a 50-50 shot, but
it was.
Onebar and Lupagus show. His name is Nick Edlund. Hey man, what's going on? We got preseason football this Saturday. How are you feeling?
I'm so damn excited. I mean, this is the moment we're all been waiting for. You know, obviously the season ends, then you wait for the free agency to start, then the draft, and then you get some mini camp little bits in here. We've seen these little videos and clips. We went to training camp, we watched that, but now you see it all go to the field. Your first look at the rookies, first look at some of these new faces they brought in. Vikings football is back, and I'm so damn pumped about it.
Well, before we get to Saturday's game, and we will have a quick preview of what's going to go down between the Vikings and the Raiders, Mark Wilf got behind the microphone. He had his biannual conversation with reporters on Tuesday, thought he'd show up, talk a little training camp and stuff, and then he was absolutely bombarded with questions about Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell's contract status coming into the year. They are in the third year of 4-year deals signed in 2022. Wilf confirmed that the Vikings have not had conversations with either Kwesi or KOC on an extension. His exact words were, "It is not something we are focused on at this point. We are focused on the season ahead." Kwesi and KOC have gone 20-14 in 2 seasons in Minnesota with no playoff wins, and much of their work was done under a core that was mainly forged under Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman. So, Nick, let's start off here. Do you feel that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell should be eligible for an extension, or should they get an extension this offseason, I should say?
This is so tough because there's so many layers to it, and what do you judge it on? What do you grade it on? Because if you're going by Kwesi's draft, and then the easy answer is probably no. You bust on Lewis Cine. You could have had Kyle Hamilton. Andrew Booth looks like he's been another bust. Jordan Addison's been having some off-the-field issues, but obviously a very talented player. He's had some misses, not a ton of hits when he's selecting players. But what I like about it, what gives me hope, what makes me think you maybe should, is the core he's building now. Like, you got Christian Darrisaw, you got TJ Hawkinson here long-term, you got Justin Jefferson here long-term, you got your quarterback of the future in fold in JJ McCarthy. So you're starting to see this nucleus building. And this season is such a question mark with the young quarterback. Is he going to play a ton? You got Sam Darnold's kind of the placeholder. Expectations aren't high. I just think you kind of have to let this thing ride, and I just can't see him not extending them. I think there's just so many variables here, and this season does have a lot of weight to do on it. But I'm leaning more you extend them than you don't. That's where I'm leaning.
You ever watch a movie or something, and you're like watching, and you're like, where the hell is this going? Like I have no idea what's going on, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you're like, oh, this is what's happening. That I know what's going on. That's basically what's going on with the Vikings right now. The first 2 years, they worked under what some people think is a mandate to run everything back, use the core that Zimmer and Spielman built, and kind of get the most out of it, what Zimmer and Spielman couldn't. And they were able to do it for 1 year, couldn't get it for that second year in 2023. But I think this offseason, seeing Kirk walk, seeing Danielle Hunter walk, seeing a lot of other pieces walk over the last 2 years, you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel where it's not as extreme as a Chicago Bears rebuild, where it's like, we're going to trade everybody, burn it to the ground, and build it back up that way. They are doing it in a way where yeah, we want to be competitive, but we also want to build towards the future. They've been kind of ripped for that, but now you see what the end product is. So I think from a Wolves standpoint, I don't think they want to commit long-term bucks, which is why they only gave a 4-year contract. Because if you remember in 2009, they extended Brad Childress. They gave him that big contract. And as soon as he put pen to paper, everything went to shit with Brett Favre and everything else. Now, the Wolves are sitting there. There's 2 years left on the contract. Yeah, they know they need to get it done. Maybe they're kind of observing this year, but I also think like they don't want to sign those guys to 4-year extensions and then have this thing go completely up in smoke this year and be on the hook for a ton of money.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's a great point. It's just, I mean, do they do a 2-year? Do you do like a little extension like they did with Josh Metellus? Hey, little extension here before you make a ton of money. I don't know. I just think where they are right now, a change of, leadership at the GM position and the head coach, I don't think it's the right move.
How much weight should the 2024 season have on their status?
I think there's little things you got to see. Like there was games last year where KOC kind of lost the game, going ultra conservative, punting the ball back instead of going for it on 4th and inches, or just kind of making some head scratching play calls. Those are kind of things I want to see. Does he get better in that area? I think they get basically a pass with JJ McCarthy here because you could start him at any time. Like, okay, we had a rookie quarterback. What were we supposed to do? I think they can almost get a pass for that. So I don't think it's a make or break season, but there's definitely things that could make the Wolves, if they see them happen, do that extension sooner than later.
It's funny I mentioned the Bears because like you could look at, I mean, a lot of teams when executives would be in trouble, they would draft a quarterback. Like, hey, you can't fire me. I just took so-and-so. Like we're nurturing him. And when he explodes, you're really going to be happy with the end result. Like the Bears did that a couple years ago when they took Justin Fields in the first round. They made that trade. I think that was the last year of Matt Nagy, I want to say. Even going back further, I think, wasn't Trubisky with John Fox his first year? Or was that... I think maybe they made that change midway through, but coaches and general managers used to take quarterbacks as a way to buy themselves time.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL now doesn't work that way, where if you take a quarterback, you better have a plan to put him in right away and throw him in there. I don't think Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah are in that dire straits, but I think that the key to this season is not Super Bowl or bust. I think the key to this season is win as many games as you can, look competitive, keep building that culture that Kevin O'Connell has built, which is, in its own right, one reason that you should extend him because players love playing for him. He was number one in that NFLPA survey. I think that in 2024, it's about competing as much as you can, winning as much as you can, not to a detrimental point like trading draft picks and that kind of stuff, but if you have this thing in the right direction and you only wind up with 7 wins, I don't think that's enough of a reason saying this isn't working. We got to find somebody else.
Yeah, and I think just from Kwesi's perspective, he's got to start seeing something from some of these other picks. Ed Ingram maybe take another step in the right direction. Some of these other guys he's drafted to start doing something, to start producing. The Jalen Roy, like someone like that to step up and contribute just for his sake. Because really, at this point, it's almost, you can say he's better after the draft signing players than he is actually selecting them.
Here's another question for you. And I don't know why I still have the Bears on my mind, but I'm going to ask this anyway. Let's say the Bears make the leap that some people think they can make. I've seen some people, Adam Rank obviously has them at 17-0 because he does that every year.
He is the biggest bear blower there is.
But I mean, there are other people too who think that team can go to the playoffs. Maybe they can make a run, be this year's Lions, right? What if the Bears make that playoff run? You have the Lions looking good. The Packers should be competitive and the Vikings just aren't there. Like, do you think that could weigh on the Wolves a little bit because they've done this in the past with the NFC North? Like when Aaron Rodgers was kind of towards the end and they drafted Jordan Love, they're like, there's going to be a window. We got to keep everything together because the division is wide open. The Bears suck, the Lions suck, and Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone soon. So
I hope they don't base these guys' futures on what another team does. That would be absolutely horrible. Every situation is different. Every team's different. I hope they don't. I don't think they will do that. I don't think they look at it and say, oh my God, this team's done that. We got to get rid of our guys and do something completely different. I think they're smart. I think they want to be patient. He mentioned continuity in his answer. I think he will keep that.
And I have that quote. I'll just kind of read the cliff notes, but he goes, one thing that we saw for sure is this discontinuity. Is that even a word? I don't even know, but discontinuity almost ensures failure. So you keep switching your leadership and it's counterintuitive. It's not that you keep the same people, you're necessarily going to be successful, but it's absolutely the case. If you switch people continuously, you absolutely will fail. At some point, you have to put your foot in the ground, say, I'm going to stick with somebody and stop tinkering. He said tinkering 3 times. So I think he was serious about it. The other question that I have, and then we can move on to Saturday's game, but I almost feel like, maybe there's a chance, like if this draft class doesn't pan out, and you could also argue if this class doesn't pan out, what does that say about Kevin O'Connell and his coaching staff? But if it doesn't pan out, is Kwesi on the hot seat? And maybe the Wolves go, well, Kevin O'Connell's got the culture here. Kwesi, you're buying bad groceries. You're out of here. We're going to change our DoorDash drivers and hopefully picks out better produce or something. You know what I mean? It's a horrible analogy, but
you're going a little Bill Parcells there. I know what you're doing. But yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, Kwesi really is probably seats hotter than KOC's when you think about it. I mean, just you go back to that first draft and how bad he butchered that thing. I mean, he trade down, you pass, like I said already, on Kyle Hamilton, take Lewis Cine, and then you take Andrew Booth Jr., and both those guys are probably not going to be on the roster this year. That does not look good for him. Jordan Addison getting suspended. He really needs, like you said, these guys to hit, and they have to start producing. Otherwise, us fans too, we're all going to turn on them, and draft day is going to be a huge stressor for us because we have a GM who just can't hit picks. But this year with Dallas Turner, JJ McCarthy, the way he's looked in camp, there's a feeling that maybe he's got 2 studs here.
It's bad when you're sitting at home and you're just like, why the hell did you do that? Like, like you're sitting there, I think it was the 12th overall pick, and like, oh yeah, we traded back 20 spots with the Lions and we didn't even get another first round pick. It's like, what?
I was almost in tears. Go back and watch our draft video on that day. I was a mess. I was an emotional wreck. Well, and I liked Lewis Cine. I liked him. I thought he was a damn solid player. That's a boat where I thought he'd go end of the first, early second. I thought he was very I thought his bust potential was very low. I thought he'd be a very solid pick. But I mean, come on, Kyle Hamilton. He was so overanalyzed. I mean, he's going to be like a draft day example moving forward. Like everybody scrutinizing every little detail about these players. He's the number one example of that.
And it wasn't just him. It wasn't just Kyle. Like if they would have taken, I don't know, Jameson Williams, I know he hasn't broken out yet, and he kind of had that redshirt year in his rookie year, but his lone catch was a touchdown against the Vikings because of course it was. Yeah. But I mean, Jordan Davis,
yeah,
that dude was ball on this team.
I know. It just drives you crazy.
The last time the Vikings had a badass shit wrecker in the middle, I don't know. I might have been in college, which was
Kevin Williams Wall. I mean, that's
right, 2009. And, I'm forgetting Linval Joseph though. I mean, he was kind of fit the mold there. Speaking of Linval Joseph, he was brought in the 2014 season. And you know what? I'll make a bold statement here. I think Saturday's preseason game is the most interesting Vikings preseason game since 2014. Since Mike Zimmer took over, he was trying to change over the guard from that bad 2013 season. And the biggest reason I'm most excited about Saturday is the big unveil. JJ McCarthy, baby. We've seen the training camp videos. We know this will be a vanilla defense. JJ McCarthy talked to the media on Wednesday. He said, yeah, I'm excited to see a vanilla defense because Brian Flores has been kicking my ass. Actually, he didn't say the second part, but you know what I mean.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah, this will be the first time everyone gets to see him at once. They're not looking at a, iPhone 7 video taking footage at TCL Performance Center. What are you looking for from JJ McCarthy in his first preseason game?
Yeah, I'm looking for him to rip the ball. See some of these throws he's made in practice, the tight throws in coverage, his accuracy in the red zone, maybe launching a couple deep ones as well. And also his quick decisions. If it's not there, using his legs, taking off and running. That's what I want to see from JJ McCarthy. And I think he's going to get a pretty healthy dose of playing time on Saturday. I'm just praying to God he stays healthy. We can't have another injury. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing you worry about, right? Is like, What this is Minnesota sports. Joe Ryan just left the Twins start today after throwing a pitch. He's like, "Nah, I'm good, man. It's toast. Something's wrong here." Like
Mm-hmm.
that is how Minnesota sports works. But like I want to see, like you mentioned it, quick decisions. Like what's
Yeah.
his processing speed? Is he, you know, like he's let her fly, like make mistakes. Like if he throws 2 interceptions, am I going to be a little discouraged? Yeah, I'll be a little bit upset. But I mean, I think now is the time to make those mistakes. Like if you're going to start chucking around, you're in a good spot because you do have Sam Darnold as the starter. I don't expect Sam Darnold to play in Saturday's game. If he is, sound the competition alarm because that's a big thing. But I also think that McCarthy, this is a time to get him game reps against a team in an uncontrolled environment. And I want to see how he responds to that because you're not going to be able to coddle him all the time and put him in preferable environments. And Saturday's the first one he's going to experience as a professional.
Well, it's the next step in his progression. Like, I mean, we came in the rookie mini camps, the OTAs, it was changing his footwork. Training camp start, his footwork's completely changed. It's like, second nature to him. He's ripping it up now. Like he's making these tight throws. He's throwing the ball into, down the field, showing things that he never showed at Michigan. And now, like you said, doing against this defense, he doesn't know what they're going to do. I want to see him succeed and take that next step. And then can you imagine next week? Let's say he throws, 2 touchdowns. How much he plays, 120 something yards. I don't know how much he throws. Has a great game. You know what's going to be like on Monday or Sunday Twitter? I mean, the whole week. I mean, it's going to be the competition tweets are going to be through the roof. He should be our starter, and I hope it gets there. I want it to get to that point.
I will be breaking out my JJ McCarthy jersey. I have to go, and the amateur baseball tournament is now in Brookings this weekend, so I will be down at Bob Sheldon Field wearing my throwback. I don't even call it, what they call it, the classic, the purple with the old school, that JJ McCarthy jersey. I will be rocking that.
Heck yeah.
Outside of the quarterback, what's another thing you're looking forward to on Saturday?
Well, there's a couple things. Like you kind of alluded to this already about Sam Darnold playing. Will Kevin O'Connell give his starters some more playing time in the preseason? Last year, he barely had them play at all. And there was rust the first couple of games. You could see it. Execution wasn't great. And he said he's got a very, what was the word he used, detailed plan of how he wants to use his starters in the preseason. Will we see them get some reps? There's only 3 games in the preseason. There's not 4 anymore. So it's like the first one's a complete wash like it used to be. Will he learn from last year's, I don't want to say it's mistakes. It's definitely just a choice and a process, but we were rusty last year. That Bucs game showed it. Fumbling was an issue the first 5 games. Will he use them a little bit more this preseason?
I want to see Will Reichard.
All right, he was my second one, Will Reichard.
Yes. Okay. So I'm looking. This is a funny story, but I mean, I'm looking at the outline and I see it on all caps, and I'm like, did I use that many caps? But you must have added some notes.
I forgot you could see it. It was a shared document. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since you wrote it down, what Will Reichard, man, I want to see that dude kick some 50-yarders. And Adam has been on this show. He has talked about it, and he said, yeah, okay, he's bombing 50, 60-yarders in practice right now. US Bank Stadium's a different animal for Vikings kickers for whatever reason. But the counter to that is that other teams don't seem to have a problem with it. They turn in the ultimate warrior the second they walk into the gates there. Like, can Will Reichard break that curse? Or what are you were at training camp. What do you think of Will Reichard?
He didn't even kick when we were there. It was very disappointing. But yeah, I love him. I mean, I want us to get a kicker in where we got him 6 rounders for years. The fact he's looking great. I mean, he was 6 for 6 the other day. He hit from like 58 with ease, but we've seen Greg Joseph do that as well. I want to just be very comfortable with him when the season starts. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to worry when we line up for an extra point. I want to know it's going to be made every single time or just about every single time. The fact that when he does miss it, it's a fluke, not like Greg Joseph where you almost come to expect it. Because it's not just a point you lose. It's such a deflation. It's such a momentum killer. And then like also when you're trying to put teams away, 3 to 4 points is a huge difference. I mean, it's huge. And it kind of just brings the whole team down. That extra point especially is missed. So I want to see him be consistent and let him just unleash hell, kick whenever. I don't care if it's 3rd down, kick the damn football. Why not? Let him kick it. And for the exhibition, kickers is huge. Let him kick.
I want to get to a point where we're not carrying our kickers off or making a 40-yard, game-winning field goal. Yeah. Like, I guess Greg Joseph had that one against Lions. I was like 56 or something ridiculous like that.
60.
But like just get the guy on there, do your job. Like, it's Will Reichard.
Yep.
We're good. Like, let's end this curse. I
But
want to see it.
will it ever be comfortable for you? Like, how long would it take for you to feel like, okay, we got a kicker now?
That's a good question because like 2013, Blair Walsh, like we were like, we got him. This is it. Ryan Longwell, right? Like Ryan Longwell signed, I think when the Wolves took over in 2006, they went out and they signed Ryan Longwell, and he was a very good kicker for the Vikings. 2009 NFC Championship game, they are driving. And we all know what happened. Brett Favre throws the interception. I'm not 100% sure if Brett Favre just tucks it down and runs 4 or 5 yards. Ryan Longwell has the leg to make that field goal.
Oh, he's making it.
You think he makes it?
I think he makes it.
I
think about this a lot.
Yeah, like it was a long field goal. His leg was kind of going at that point. I don't know, man. But I'm like, Blair Walsh nailed like 10 50-yard field goals with ease in his rookie season. And then he, I was at that game, 2015 wildcard game, shanks it into as weird as it sounds, it's one of my favorite Viking games ever just because of the absurdity. Like, it was so cold and like Blair Walsh just shanked the shit out of that kick. But I mean, it would take like even I'm sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent, remembering like big kicks that, hey, maybe this is it. Kai Forbath, Minneapolis Miracle game. He hits that kick with, I think, about 90 seconds to go. Drew Brees goes all the way down, scores the touchdown to go ahead, or I think it was a field goal by Will Lutz to go ahead, and then the miracle happened. But people don't remember that kick either because the Vikings defense blew it. Like, there's just other things. So I don't know. It would take like a big kick. If Reichard has an awesome season, I'm going to feel good in that moment. But then, playoffs, as Chris Boyd once infamously put it, it's tight butthole time.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
My number one thing that I have on my list is cornerbacks. Yeah. Who the hell is left standing here? Because obviously the unfortunate situations in the offseason with Kyrie Jackson passing away in that car crash, Mekhi Blackman going down on the first practice, Andrew Booth Jr., opportunities wide open. He can't seem to take advantage of that. You signed Fabian Moreau. I don't think he's going to play, but you also have younger guys. You have a Caleb Evans. Let's see if he's learned anything. Dwight McLaughlin, a UDFA, one that I'm going to mention here in just a little bit. He's another guy in the secondary. I want to see somebody in that cornerback room stand up and make me feel comfortable about this defense, because I like what they're doing, but the cornerbacks are obviously the biggest concern.
Well, and there's a huge battle for the bottom of that position. I mean, AJ Green had a nice one-handed interception today. I don't know if you saw that. It was beautiful. He just went up there and stuck it backhand. You got Jay Will last year, the undrafted rookie, Jay Williams, who came in, actually started over Caleb Evans when he was struggling, so he still got a chance. So the bottom of the cornerback depth chart, very interesting to me. I have a couple other positions too. Wide receiver, like who's going to emerge from that bottom group to be the fifth guy? I mean, it's completely up in the air. One day you're hearing about Lucky Jackson. Next day it's Malik Knowles. I think Thayer Thomas had a great catch today. Who's it going to be? And then edge, like behind the three, you got Jihad Ward. You haven't heard much out of camp this year. Patrick Jones is there. Andre Carter. Gabe Murphy's kind of dinged up right now, but there's competition there. And then D-line. We just have a bunch of dudes there. Levi Drake Rodriguez could step up. I want to see Ja'Kalen Roy do something, but you got Jonah Williams. You got James Lynch, who's still lingering around. Jalen Redmond, the big guy we signed, Taki Timani. I want to see what he can do. So some of these positions, the top is kind of set, but how does this depth shake out? I think that can be determined this preseason. We'll get our first look at it on Saturday.
Taki Timani just sounds like, if you told me his name, like, what does this guy do for a living? I'd be like, defensive line, linebacker, or fullback.
Yep.
Like one of the three.
100%.
So I like him already.
I do too.
LDR, Levi Drake Rodriguez is an interesting guy to me. Obviously is prospect X, according to that Athletic article by Kalen Kaler. Very interesting backstory, and the coaches seem to like him so far. Gabriel Murphy, a lot of people have been raving about him. Short arms, but he's explosive and he can go. So the more edge rushers and the more people that can get pressure up front in that front seven, I think the better this defense is going to turn out because, yeah, you have some weaknesses at corner, but if you got a guy in the quarterback's face at all times, you have a strong secondary, or you have strong linebackers with Ivan Pace and Blake Cashman, and then your safety room is just absolutely loaded, which I'm surprised Brian Flores hasn't just been like, fuck it, all safeties. We're just going to play all 5 of them. And Lewis Steen, you go sit over there, hold a clipboard or something. But, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. So, again, there's a lot of things need to be decided. Again, maybe not a ton of starting positions, but just the overall depth of this team. A lot of roster spots to be won. And you look at that first unofficial depth chart that came out. I know it's unofficial and it's whatever it's, but there was some telling things in there. Just where some of these guys were slotted. I thought was a little bit surprising.
Do you have a prediction? Do you
like for the game?
I don't know. Are you degenerate? Are you gonna bet on? I'm looking for the line right now as I'm asking this, but
well, I just thought we haven't won a preseason game since 2019. I don't know. I just hope it's entertaining. Like the Hall of Fame game this year was actually entertaining. They were slinging the ball around. Like I want to see us do that with JJ McCarthy. Throw the football. I want to see an exciting game. Nothing. But was it 2 or 3 years ago when we got blown out by Denver and it was like 37-3 or something? Yeah. I want to see these young guys show some fight. Like want to win a spot here and play hard. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I mean, the score doesn't really matter to me. I want to see some players flash. Like if they win and it's just kind of like, I don't know.
I'll be pumped if they win.
The current line right now is -3.5. So Raiders -3. So Raiders are favored by a field goal, basically.
Yeah, we shut them out last time we played them. We can do it again.
Why not? Just keep them off the big shutout, the preseason shutout. Let's go. Let's do it.
No, the big thing is no injuries, right? I mean, we've already had more than our fair share and no more injuries. Just stay healthy.
All right, let's close things out here. You got stuff going up at the Viking Age. You got the Onebar and Lupagus show. What's going on with those adventures?
Yeah, so I usually drop about an article a week at the Viking Age, so check those out. Just topics are kind of hard to come by in the month of July, but it'll be heating up again here in August. Onebar and Lupagus show. We got some new sponsors we're excited to unveil here in the coming weeks. So that means giveaways for our viewers. We're approaching 12K subscribers, just like 69 away, and that's really what we are, 69 away.
Nice.
Very, very close there. We're gonna be going live 3 times a week during the season. And multiple shows every single day. You can follow me at Lupagus on Twitter or at Onebar and Lupagus, as well as our show channel.
Well, of course, you can see it on the screen for our YouTube audience. You can follow me on social media at The Real Chris Schad, doing some stuff on X, doing some stuff on Instagram, and then probably doing a little bit more stuff on Threads. Adam's trying to poke me into getting back into the Threads thing. Like, some people are like, that thing's still around? Yeah, they're still doing it. But, I don't know. The timeline on Twitter is just super weird because it's like, my timeline's like weird wrestling dudes living in shacks and whatever, just like, reacting to stuff, but totally normal.
No, I get it.
But Nick, thank you for coming on the podcast today. That's all the time we have for the Viking Age podcast, though. We do this every Monday with a late week episode right here on the Viking Age YouTube channel. We're also in podcast form on Apple and Spotify the very next day. So however you consume us, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss a new episode and we can spread the word to the masses. For Nick Edlund, I am Chris Schad. This has been the Viking Age Podcast.